Greetings, vinyl community. I thought I'd quickly jump on the contest that was introduced by Vinyl Talk with Tavis. I thought this was a really fun idea. Album covers with animals on them. And as you might guess from the fact that I make albums myself and I always put animals on the cover, I have a background in biology, so I'm going to take a sort of semi-scientific approach to this. I'm going to be showing 5 representatives of the invertebrate phyla, even some of the creatures you don't necessarily think of as animals, and then 5 representatives of our own phylum, the chordates, and we'll start with one of those phyla that's really the primitive form of life that you don't necessarily think of an animal, but it is part of the animal kingdom, the cnidarians. And that includes the corals, the sea urchins, and the jellyfish. And here we have a jellyfish on the cover of the live album from 1975 by Oregon in Concert. There are also some sea urchins on this cover, some cnidarians, but there's also an echinoderm. On the cover of the 1974 album by Robert Wyatt, we have these little sea urchin guys over here, but there's also a sea cucumber representing the echinodermata. More familiar echinoderm would be the starfish, but that's what we have here as done in the wonderful art by Alfreda Benj. Next, the annelida, the annelid worms, including the common earthworm. And we have some earthworms on the cover of Hand to Man Band, You Are Always on Our Minds from 2010. Next up, the molluscs, including the squids, the snails and slugs, the clams and oysters, and the octopus, as shown on the cover of the album Octopus by Gentle Giant from 1972. Of course, I showed this before on my video about Gentle Giant. And finally, for the invertebrates, the largest phylum on Earth in terms of number of species, the arthropods. The arthropods include the crustaceans, such as lobsters, crabs, and shrimp, the arachnids, including the spiders, the myriapoda, including the centipedes and millipedes, but of course the most familiar arthropods are the insects. And there is an insect, a lovely honeybee on the cover of Le Orme, the Italian progressive band, and their album Piccola Rapsodia dell'Ape, the Little Rhapsody of the Bee. And next we'll get to the 5 representatives of our own phylum, the chordates. Those are the fish, the amphibians, the reptiles, the birds, and the mammals. So we'll start with the fish on the cover of White Noise 2, Concerto for Synthesizer by David Vorhaus. This is a virgin release from 1975, and I was actually planning to show this. I thought, oh, nobody knows this album. And darned if Pete from Sounds from the West Coast didn't come up with this album just the other day. Next, the amphibians, including salamanders, frogs, and toads. And there is a toad being held by Muddy Waters on the album After the Rain. There's one angle, there's another angle. And for the reptiles, we have Sidewinder by electronic musician Morton Subotnick, a very inspirational figure for me. And the Sidewinder, of course, is a small rattlesnake that lives in the desert environments and is a fellow you don't want to mess around with. For the birds, we have a nice heron in a sort of silhouette with reflection on the album Wings Over Water by Stefan Mikas. And Stephen Mikas is known for using a lot of exotic musical instruments from different cultures all over the world. And on this album, he has a really interesting idea of using a lot of different sized flower pots as percussion instruments. So you hear the results on this album from 1981. Finally, the mammals. Our class, and that is represented by the rhinoceros on Adrian Belew's first solo album, Lone Rhino. And you'll see that Adrian has revealed with his own handwriting that rhinoceroses say yow. And we've also got an egret there, so that's a bonus bird. And Adrian himself, like you, like me, is a bonus mammal. So that's it. Thank you very much for watching. Be well. Talk with you again soon. Bye-bye for now.